up? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. I guess we're starting off with some bangs tonight. People are like, Lana, do you have the 911 audio? I got this right here from Brandon Robinson. Says, Lana, do you have the sound from the 911 call? Well, I was told that is 100% sealed at the moment. So I would love to know how that is not sealed. Truth Nation Uncensored comes in and says, so GHS. And I said, who is GHS? Don't even know who that is. And DT, I'm guessing Drunk Turkey, have the 911 audio. Wonder who could have leaked that to them. Any guesses? Well, I'll just ask Daniel myself. Did they release the audio of the 911 call? Don't know. Someone leaked it to 2 channels, it seems. I have no idea. Who is G something? Who are these people? Let me see. Greg Hughes investigates? What? Daniel too scared to play the audio, though. Greg Hughes played it? Greg, who knows? All I know is he had a ticket out in Idaho. Abby and Libby's video of the Bridge of Delphi case has been released. Boom. Yeah. Perfect. Get it all out there. Audio will apparently be public soon. Sounds good. Steve definitely gatekeeping that shit. There is a TikTok reenactment of the 911 call, Anna. Fuck TikTok. I'm sorry. I'm just clicking on you guys. Bridge guy video 43 seconds on CJ's channel. Good for him. I would love to hear the other. I already made Anna aware. You guys are welcome to Truth and Transparency. I'm just reading them all out here. Let's take a look though. Boston pops in here. What is good, baby girl? People think they can just leak evidence. He's something else. Again, I have no idea what anybody's talking about, what anybody's doing. But I will say this. They must have some type of feels out there that they want the 911 call to be out there. It's under seal. It's good to see that people want it out there, though. Let's take a look at this. 911. Idaho4 call recording. Let's see. Nope. All right, let's take a look at this one. Yeah, I still don't see it. I'm not sure. Lance says, yay, I come on the live again, Lana. You are amazing. Thank you so much, Lance. Appreciate it. Again, I only heard reenactments, not the actual audio. Fuck, we've done a reenactment on here like twice. Like, what do you mean reenactments? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Dang, Lana, do you sleep? You know what? I ask myself that every day. I have no idea what people are talking about. Yay, hello, awesome people, says Annie Potts. What is good, love? What is good? I guess people are going wild. They're like, when are we going to get this 911 call? When we get this 911 call? Let me just call 911 and ask them. 911, what's your emergency? Well, I want to know why the 911 call is being spread all over the internet. Let's just call them and ask. Ready? We're just going to call Moscow Police Department. Everybody wants to know so much. Well, just all you got to do is go to let's just type in Moscow Police Department. And we just ask them. So if you want to know something, just get on the phone. Here we go. Moscow Police Department. Well, according to the Moscow Police Department, they are closed and they will open at let's see. Hi, I was wondering, are Are you guys releasing the Idaho4, the University of Idaho Student Murders 911 call? Have you guys released that?
I have no idea what their plans are, ma'am. We don't have anything to do with what they release.
Okay, can you send me to a voicemail so I can leave a message to Officer Payne?
I can transfer you over to the tip line. There's nobody at the police department right now. The police department's closed.
Oh, they're closed?
Yes.
Okay, well then, yeah, whatever I can do to just leave a message, how would you recommend that I do that?
Are you with like a news source or something? Or?
Yep.
Oh, I don't have. Hang on just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Hang on.
I mean, if you guys just want some answers, if that's what let's just get some answers. You know who to rocket with the best. You rocking with the best? Y'all want to know something? Just come on over here. Get it, girl. We just got some questions. I heard you guys are releasing the 911 call. I heard about their habit. Who can I leave a message with? It's my birthday week, bitch. You guys, but just so we know, if you were trying to call the 911 mosque, I mean, that's why Whitman County or they take care of it, but there you go. They only work 9 to 5. So.
Okay, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you'll have to call back tomorrow morning after 8 a.m. and speak to somebody at the police department because, again, this is a dispatch center. We don't have anything to do with releasing of the tape. Okay,
well, then I do apologize for holding up the dispatch line, but thank you so much. I will call in the morning.
All right, perfect.
Okay, thanks, hon. All right. So I will be calling first thing in the morning. So those of you guys that are going to join me on the Karen Reed Live in the morning at 9 a.m., what I will do is after my Karen Reed Live, it'll take about an hour and a half, not even for Karen Reed. I will then go live again at 11 a.m. my time, which would be 8 a.m. I don't know with daylight savings, does that change over there? But if I go at 11 a.m. my time here on Eastern Standard, that's 8 a.m. for Moscow. So we'll go ahead and do that. But went ahead and made that phone call. Who else would you guys like to talk to tonight? Anybody else? Lana, when did PlayStation? I thought place was open 24/7, so I guess there is talks at the Bridge Guy video. So, Lana, does Turtle Boy have or know about your work proving Fat Matt did the Google search and sent some text from Jen's phone? I believe that they probably all have that. My answer. I'll answer. If GH, it's going to cost his viewers so much money to hear it. Oh, what is up here? Elliot says, after the transparency, what's up with other channels claiming to have the Idaho 911 audio if you haven't covered that yet? I believe that if anybody has the 911 audio, it is definitely not from the docket. We just went ahead and put a FOIA request in right now. So if the 911 call is available to been had, we will be having it. We'll find out. Oh, there you go. There's an answer for you. Turtle Boy does know. He brought it up the other day. There you go. I have no idea what Turtle Boy thinks about it. But I'm sure that Turtle Boy knows that all the right resources that I use went into it, which is my brain. And it was just to supply some information. Criminality has a good video recap of Bridge Guy. Is it the actual Bridge Guy video? I mean, people ask me questions and I just give it to them. Brandon says, I'm a Pisces and I began my Pisces trip being born on February 23rd. Awesome. I love it. Wasted Chicken has it in his thumbnail, but he isn't playing audio, just reading. I mean, have you guys all lost your minds here? You guys, the transcripts are out there. We put the transcripts out there fucking a week ago. The 911 transcripts they're out there. 911 transcripts been out there. Put them out there on this channel. I don't know who Wasted Chicken is, but awesome. I have no fucking idea. Yeah. I don't know if we want to reenact shit. You play this part, I play this part, you play this part, I play this part. At the end of the day, the best part about it is that please, you've released the transcripts. Just go ahead and play the 911 call. I don't care who releases it. But we went ahead. I just called up. I said, "Hey, are you guys giving them out?" They're saying the transcripts are not complete. I call flat out bullshit on that. 100% bullshit on that. They can say whatever the fuck they want. That whole thing needs to be used for a purpose. I guess maybe a bunch of the transcript is just people screaming and yelling because the phone never got hung up. Maybe the phone heard things that, at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? Honestly, this case has become a shit show soap opera, and it's unfortunate because 4 people died, and it shouldn't be a soap opera because that shit's fake. So, DT's claiming he put in a FOIA request a couple days ago and already has the audio. He's live. Well, I have no idea why you would come here and say that. I'd probably be over there. Exactly. Are you talking about his thumbnail? We can all talk about his thumbnail. I can't believe that so many people want to come in here and ask me about this creator, that creator. We don't ever allow this. So that's what I think is funny. Is like, ask me about all these creators. You guys, I have to ask you guys a question. I think it is hilarious that you guys even think that I would know this. If I watched all of this shit, I wouldn't be able to research a goddamn thing. You understand that, right? Lana, did you see this? Lana, did you see this? Did you see this? Are you serious? Did I see what of what? I do my own research. I produce the goods, and I produce them pretty fucking well. So I think that you asking me if I saw somebody that no. What I would hope is that you should trust me. If it was worth it, I'd probably know about it. I just don't know what to say to people. If it was like a woo bombshell, like when I was just spitting out them videos for you guys to see all them fucking students, all those people that live in that house, it was just bombshell for bombshell for bombshell. It wasn't clickbait, so I don't know what to say. So I don't mean it as any disrespect, but no, I don't see. I would never even be able to produce any content. I have to spend my time researching on my own and putting my own FOIA requests in, making my own phone calls. And I think I do a pretty good job being transparent about it. So tonight, people want to know about the 911 call. I went ahead and I hit the Moscow Police Department number, and they say that they are only open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so therefore, I just missed them by 24 minutes. They'll be back in tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, I will ask if they have released the 911 call. And if so, I will say, then why hasn't my FOIA request been fulfilled from 3 years ago? Because just so we're clear, those FOIAs stay in line. I put my FOIA request in, right? And I asked for a bunch of shit over a long period of time, right? So you're going to sit here and tell me that something that I asked for a long time ago, and you're telling me that you can't produce it. Well, now that you can produce it, it should have been a line of the FOIAs that asked for that shit, right? And so when you guys told me that it'd be available come October of 2025, basically when the trial started, if you're going to release that earlier, then I would definitely be in line to get that way earlier. We have, I think, 17 FOIAs that have been in that have not been, that they say that they have these release dates that were 2025. So, yeah. And I'm of the camp of, I don't care who gets it to be released. I don't care who puts it in and they get it. Awesome. I'm not in the camp of who gets things first. I'm in the camp of who gets it right. So I go ahead and vet shit. And yeah. Thank you so much, Alice. Lana, you are already weeks ahead of everyone else. Thank you. Appreciate that. Brandon, Super Sicker 399. Appreciate that. It is my birthday month, bitches. I'm 7 days away from being older. Smash the like and turn on gifting. Get your gift, huh? About this case, though, I really want to turn to something that I think is really, really important. Let's just go like this. This is something that's really, really important for me, and I want to turn it over to you guys. I left off talking about this really, really important document because I wanted to know how the state is going to not only combat, they need this IgG and because they need this tip, but more importantly, I went to our old school stuff, which was back, get out the old drawers here. I went back to Hitler's original order on defense motion to suppress genetic information. And so I went back to his order from February 19th. Okay. And I also went back to his order on, that's going to come up here down the road at the motion Limine. I went back to his Amazon order, and I went back to when we're going to be talking about, is this the sheet? Let me see. I wanted this. I think it's on this one. The Franks, to talk about the identification of the vehicle. And you know what never came up, like hardcore, nobody's fighting about this, nobody's talking about it, is this DoorDash. Okay? And so here's a nugget for you guys. You want a nugget? Take it home. A nugget for everybody is that if you aren't going crazy about something, right? So let's put that right there because we're going to start right here. I'm going to give you guys a huge big nug. But if you aren't going crazy about something, that would mean that it's been handled. Okay? Like there's nothing to go crazy about. And so for me, I said to myself, wow, you know what? I never, in the whole suppression hearing, we didn't hear anything about the DoorDash. We didn't hear like a time. We didn't hear a car make, model, nothing. There's like no questions surrounding this whole DoorDash, and it could have been a part of something. And I want people to know that that works two ways here for me. And that means that either one, that tells me that, when you want to keep your stuff like close to your vest, because when you want to keep some aces, you want to keep stuff close to your vest. So that either tells me that it is just either so extreme one way and it's being hidden and close to somebody's vest, or it's the opposite way, which is like we've already sorted that out and it's a done deal. Okay? Like it is one way or the other. There is no, when you want to talk about laying out a timeline, I would think the DoorDash timeline of when Xana ordered the DoorDash, or Ethan, or whose ever phone ordered it, okay? That's really important to show a timeline of somebody being alive, right? And we haven't heard diddly dumb dick about it. And that tells me that it is either one way or the other way. And it is somebody's, like, but when we talk about timelines, that's a very, very important timeline on when it was ordered. Because we can take out a lot of things that have to do with Linda Lane with that order time, you know? Or are we going to sit here and say that it was so calculated and premeditated that somebody then took somebody's phone and ordered a DoorDash to make it seem like somebody was alive? I mean, we could get so interesting about things. But think about it. If I was trying to commit some sick-ass, sweet-ass murder, if I use your phone to order a DoorDash from your phone at 3:15, well, by God, that puts you alive at 3:15, and you're ordering food, but you dead, right? So it's interesting because when you talk about the DoorDash, when they did the search warrant for the DoorDash, it was for the address. They didn't do a search warrant for people's individual, because they didn't have to do that because they would just download the person's phone and they would have had whatever from their records. But they did the address when they did this DoorDash. They did the address for DoorDash. What is the information that's coming from the address, guys? Think about it. Think about that. If I need to hit up DoorDash and ask them who has delivered to this residence from January of 2022 until present day, which would be November 13th, and I couldn't get the information off of the app that would be on somebody's phone when I would have downloaded that phone, that means that I would have to subpoena DoorDash, or not. I mean, I'm putting out a search warrant rather for DoorDash. Think about that. That's just interesting to me. Nobody has talked about that. Also, it's interesting that when I would be like, oh, I'm getting a DoorDash or I'm having somebody deliver my food, I could just for simple reasons say, oh, well, she got a DoorDash, but I shouldn't actually say it like that because they got it this way, which is just like they ordered through a private driver and then they just bring us our food, things like that. But I will tell you this, that the state wants Xana and Ethan's DoorDash records to be self-authenticated in this hearing in trial. Interesting. That's part of their motion in Limine, is to have self-authenticating documents. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, why would they even have to do this? Like, why aren't they working with this, like the defense? Like, and yeah, all that stuff would be good. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. It'll be interesting. Because I would just think that stuff would be like just stipulated too. But there's a reason that clearly the defense is not stipulating to their documents and they just want to be self-authentication. Anyways. So here we go. Here, those of you guys that started off with me this morning, I said, come back, hear the end of this because it's going to get interesting. Here, the IgG information is less material, if that is possible, than it would otherwise have been because the defense has not disclosed any experts or evidence to challenge the confirmation STR comparison. It's like, wait, what? Dude, this is where you're going with this argument? This is a really important thing to say here. No, actually, for you to tell me that you are going this route tells me that you're trying to get in front of something, which is, if the defense is saying that they don't think that it came from the sheet, then it doesn't fucking matter what the STR fucking compared itself to. All right? So let's talk about that. if the defense is going to try to say that this did not come from the sheath, then this doesn't matter. Here, the IgG information is even less material. If that is possible, then it would otherwise have been because the defense has not disclosed any experts or evidence to challenge the confirmation that the STR, like when you compare it, like it's the same, right? And what we're trying to say is that I'm not saying this is just plain black and white. The sheath didn't produce the sample SNP. Now what, motherfucker? Like, is that, do you guys need to see it black and white? That's black and white. Anybody have any questions? If the sheath didn't produce the sample for the SMP, then what? The defense doesn't need to talk about any of this stuff, but it's funny that you're trying to talk about that. Because I completely disagree. The defense 100% talked about that. You just mean that they didn't talk about it in this motion, right? Is that what you're talking about? Is that right? Is that right there? What I mean by that is that this sample that they said they took from the sheath and they created this STR, what I mean by that is that it didn't come from that, the sample. They're questioning that. Exactly, Sarah. The deflection is real. It is so real. It is so real. How do we know? Like, we just have to take you at your word, basically, just so we're clear about that. We have to take the lab at their word. And now let me ask you a question. If you think for a second that officers can plant evidence or that officers would do shady ass shit who's actually like in the field, then you are not giving enough credit to the fact that it's like this. If you want to fix a game, why go buy the quarterback when you can go buy the referee? That's my favorite analogy. Why would you buy the wide receiver or the running back? If you want to fix a game, you go and buy the referee. Okay? So if I want to fix a case, I want to go buy the lab. All right? You don't go and buy the quarterback. You don't go and buy the running back to fix a game. You don't go and buy the receiver. You don't go and buy the quarterback, receiver, running back, defensive lineman, offensive lineman. You go and buy the referee. So, AKA, if you think that somebody could be so shady as to be an officer, then why couldn't be somebody shadier or just as shady in the lab? Point being is that without chain of custody, which I've had a problem with from day one, is when you don't want to have to produce your chain of custody with anything. I think that's weird. Okay. If I don't have to show my work, but you want me, hey, just believe it. Believe me. Believe it. Okay. Well, you could do that, but I don't want to. So it is undisputed that IgG is simply a means to generate potential leads as to who DNA found at. Who the fuck writes this shit, man? Who writes this stuff? Because I'm going to back everybody up here. It is undisputed that IgG is simply a means to generate potential leads as to who DNA found at a crime scene may belong to. If one of those leads proves fruitful, I love that word. I always say that word. Now you guys know why I use that word. Fruitful. Like, what's the fruits? Fruitful. Like, what's there? What's the fruitful? What are we getting here? Proves fruitful. Law enforcement can conduct a confirmation test as to whether the DNA belongs to the suspect using an STR comparison. The strength of the evidence against a defendant in terms of DNA evidence depends upon the confirmation test, the results from the STR DNA analysis between the defendant's DNA and the DNA recovered from the crime scene. Why do you think Ann Taylor hasn't talked about this yet? All right, had to make sure everything's good over here. I love this. I love this though. Fruitful. Yeah. What are the fruits? What are the fruits? Fruits of my loin. So law enforcement can conduct this confirmationary test. You know, the strength of the evidence against a defendant in terms of DNA evidence depends upon this confirmation results from the STR analysis between the defendant's DNA and the DNA recovered from the crime scene. Awesome. Yes, 100%. You guys, this to me is becoming way weaker by the minute because we are talking about trace. We are talking about trace DNA. We were talking about trace DNA on the sheath, and that's it. And then we actually have blood from other people. And you think that I want to care about this shit? You think that this is what I'm like honing in on? If I'm on that jury, until you tell me whose blood this is, that would be on the railing, that would be on a glove outside the house, until you tell me whose blood that is, as long as that stays unknown to me, if I was a juror, I have a huge problem with that. If I truly paid attention to this case, like when I'm going to be in that room and when they're going to present their case to me, and you're telling me that we have unknown 2 different male blood samples and nobody cared about it. That's problematic for me. It's a problem. And why it isn't to like the world, I can't speak to that. But to me, that would be a problem. To me as a human being, which I am. So I'll listen to all the circumstantial stuff. But what would make me hesitant is that I get that you had to build this whole circumstantial case around Brian over here in left field, right? You had to build this circumstantial case. But I want to know why you didn't attempt to build, you have blood that cannot be from this transfer. You have blood of somebody, foreign DNA inside that house that has not been labeled to anybody. And for you, what my problem is that you aren't concerned with it. Why aren't you concerned with it? That's my problem. My problem is why aren't you concerned with it? Because normally what you're able to do is to say, this is why you shouldn't be concerned with it. Let's say that I'm going to take my kid in to, hey, I don't know what's going on. They have 103-degree temperature. What's going on? Well, I don't know what's going on, but we can rule out this. Okay? So I want you to rule out this blood. I want you to rule out who that belongs to. Or I want you to tell me why I should not be worried about it. Does that make sense? Like, if you're a parent, why shouldn't I be worried about something? And as much as you want to talk about this right here, that it's here, the IgG information is even less material, if that is even possible, than it would otherwise have been, because the defense has not disclosed any experts or evidence to challenge the confirmation. Wait, maybe they don't need to do any of that. Maybe they realize that, like, that's up to you. Like, that's on you. We don't have to talk about this. You know why? Because it's on you. You're trying to shift the burden. Okay? This paragraph is to shift the burden. You're trying to shift the burden onto the motherfucking defense, and that is wild to me. But guess what? This shouldn't get past a judge. If I'm a nobody and I can see that right here, then a judge should see that, who has all these fucking years of experience, right? And I'm just a nobody. But I see that you're totally trying to shift this burden. I don't have to explain. Wait, why? We don't have an expert to do what? Refute what, motherfucker? You need to explain why that sheath's there, how it got there, and that it's Brian Kober's actual fucking sheath. And not that it got transferred along some motherfucking ways that transfer DNA happens. I mean, unbelievable. This is why I stopped earlier, because I was like, dude, when I knew I got into this part, I knew I was going to get wild, because it's sickening. Here, the IgG information is even less material, if that is even possible, right? Than it would otherwise have been, because the defense has not disclosed any experts or evidence to challenge that it matches the STR. We tried to fucking talk about the fact that it was all bogus, mofo. I'm not here to challenge that it doesn't match. I know that it matches your little sample, right? I'm here to challenge maybe down the road where it came from. But I can't even do that, because we don't even have chain of custody, nothing. We have dick. Now, the defense has disclosed an expert regarding DNA evidence, interpretation, and the likelihood ratio to challenge one of the state's conclusions concerning DNA. Defense supplemental. Oh wait. Okay, but the defense has not disclosed any expert to challenge the confirmation STR comparison showing that the DNA on the knife sheath matched the defendant's DNA. Interesting. Well, doesn't that kind of tell you something? So I think that goes to what I just was talking about. We got somebody that's going to challenge shit. We got somebody that's going to challenge what? Now can you guys see where I'm kind of going with this? So what does that ultimately mean, you dumb dick? They had to play a couple cards here, and they showed you exactly what they're going to be challenging. And we're going to challenge that we don't believe that the sample came from the sheath. How about that? You want that for a bomb? You want that for a bomb? We don't believe that the sample came from the sheath. How about that? Instead of challenging the conclusions that the DNA on the knife sheath belongs to the defendant's expert disclosures reveal that the defendant plans to argue that the DNA on the knife sheath does not prove defendant was ever at the crime scene and the knife sheath itself could have been planted by the real perpetrator. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. There you go. Oh, here you go. Instead of challenging, maybe they have you writing this for a reason, because maybe they're actually going to challenge that y'all by the real perpetrator. Oh, boy. There you go. How about that for some fucking bombs? Woo! Let's shake it. Oh boy. So instead of challenging the conclusion that the DNA on the knife sheath belonged to the defendant, the defense expert disclosures reveal that the defense plans to argue the DNA on the knife sheath does not prove defendant was ever at the crime scene, and the knife sheath itself could have been planted by the real perpetrator. How about you like that? There you go, Aunt Taylor. Now let's talk about some titties. Boom! There you go. You guys want to talk about a 911 call? Fuck out of here. That 911 call, it should just tell you everything that you need to know by reading it. The parties. Theories. Now we go. Get into some theories. I love it. Now we got some theories up in here. The parties' theories demonstrate why the IgG work in this case cannot possibly be material under Brady. Oh, is that what you think? You guys need it. You guys are begging for it to be in. Finding allegedly exculpatory evidence, we know Brady is. The IgG was conducted as a preliminary assessment of potential owners of the DNA found on the knife sheath and identified defendant as a potential owner of the of the DNA. But it was the scientific process of the STR comparison that confirmed defendant's DNA matched the DNA found on the knife sheath. Why are you arguing? Nobody is here to argue the STR. Nobody is here to argue that. What are you talking about right now? Like, what are you talking about? You guys put a motion in. The state put a motion in because they need the IgG to actually be in play. We need to be able to use the IgG in some capacity because we need to be able to have a generic tip. This generic tip. We need to be able to have this generic tip. Oh, God, yes, send it to me. I love it. It better be something great. Titties. But see, then they want to go on this stupid tangent. The parties demonstrate why the IgG work in this case, but can't possibly be Brady. The IgG was conducted as a preliminary assessment of potential owners of the DNA found in the knife sheath. You have no idea what it was done for. You gonna take the stand? I can't wait for you to say this. Maybe Ashley Jennings does. Now, the state has no plans to use the preliminary assessment of the IgG at trial, and the defense has no plans to challenge the confirmation. Excuse me? Wait, what? Now, I guarantee you Anne has a huge problem with this. Now they're just like, we're going to go ahead and just split it all. Now, the state has no plans to use a preliminary assessment of the IgG at trial, and the defense has no plans to challenge the confirmation of STR comparison. Thus, the preliminary assessment of IgG could have no effect on the result of the trial. No, bitch. Look at these. Look at this. This is insanity. This is crazy. Look at. This is not cause and effect. This is not cause and effect. This is insane. For them to think that they could get here like this. No, boy. This is not your way of trying to say that we should be able to use the IgG. Like, but this is wild. Like, look at how they're writing this. The defense erroneously asserts prejudice on the basis that it will not be able to ask the standard operating procedures to cross-examine the state's expert witness, David Middleman, the CEO of All-Throne. But why do you even need to use All-Throne? Why do you even need to use any of this stuff? You got Brian Colbert a different way, right? There's all this other evidence against him. Why are you guys fighting so hard to get this IgG in now? Brian Colbert is so sloppy. He's so guilty. You don't need any of this. But the state disclosed Dr. Middleman only as a rebuttal witness to respond to the two IgG experts the defense initially disclosed. Yeah, so now they're not going to use it. Now the defense has decided, I can't wait for this, not to call their IgG experts. The state has no need to call Dr. Middleman. Perfect. Look at this. See the state's response to defense motion limine testimony. Middleman filed. Where's this? Where are we closing this off at? Where are we closing that off at? Nowhere? Good job. More importantly, however, demonstrating prejudice under Brady requires. So now I guess we're all in agreement. He doesn't need to be called because they're not challenging the IgG, or rather, I'm sorry, they're not going to call the IgG experts because they're now saying that the IgG isn't in. So are you guys in agreement with that then? Because without the IgG, for you to generate this generic tip, you guys are so FUCK'd. But here we go. More importantly, they say, however, demonstrating prejudice under Brady requires far more than a showing that the standard operating procedures could not be used for cross-examination. Told you guys, they were just all about making sure that they don't lose this. They are cutting off their limbs. They're cutting off their limbs, and we're going to have to find a different way to introduce Mr. Kohlberger. Because we can't have this. The defense would have to prove that the cross-examination using the standard operating procedures would have a reasonable they don't have to prove this word right there. That's not true. They don't have to prove anything. It's could. I mean, they're wild. This is wild to me. They're changing the words of language, and go back and read the motion and the case law they cited. And so they think that the defense would have to prove that the cross-examination using the standard operating procedures would have a reasonable probability of changing the outcome of the case. No, it would have had a reasonable outcome, and it could have changed it if they were able to have that to then be able to use it during their suppression hearings. And they didn't have that opportunity. So how do you go back and do that? All of their procedures would have been able to be talked about. And then we could have seen, okay, so isn't this a procedure? Like, where are these results? Where's all this stuff? Where are the fruits that you guys, this is what you guys are supposed to do and you didn't do. And now here we are. And I have no way to challenge things because you guys didn't preserve things or you guys didn't do the things that you're supposed to do, right? The defense has not and cannot do so. The defense has not and cannot. Has not done what? They just wrote this motion. What do you want us to do? I would get rid of that in this sentence, but even if Othram failed to follow every standard operating procedure, oh my God, listen to this big if. Even if Othram failed to follow every standard operating procedure, that does not change the facts that the IGG merely pointed law enforcement toward the defendant as a potential owner of the DNA. But see, Othram didn't point them anywhere. Because we're talking about the raw data. We're talking about things that we would have gotten our hands on. We're not talking about the results of your fucking experiment. Okay? We're talking about how your experiment started. We're talking about how your experiment got passed off. For them to even write this like procedures and protocols don't matter is a slap in the face to what they do every single day. That is the same thing as saying that laws don't matter. What's the one thing that keeps our asses in check every single day? Why aren't I out there running every single red light? Why aren't I out there doing whatever the fuck I want every single goddamn day? Stupidity right there. It sure does matter if it's trace DNA. Even if Othram failed to follow every standard operating procedure, that flaws it. That flaws everything. Do you understand that flaws it? That's just wild to say that. But let's see, because what they're trying to say, though, is that even if they did all that, that does not change the facts. The facts. That the IGG merely pointed law enforcement toward defendant as a potential owner of the DNA on the knife sheath, or that the unchallenged confirmation STR comparison showed the DNA on the knife sheath matched the defendant. We were talking about how point A and what it had got to then point B over here at the Othram lab. Okay, we're talking about so did they bring the knife sheath to you? How do you know that they brought the knife sheath to you that was actually the knife sheath from the crime scene? So sit down and shut the fuck up. How do we know what got put into CODIS? And where it came from? How do we know Dick without chain of custody? Oh, just trust us. Well, fuck you. Do your job and do it the right way. For me asking you to show me how you got to point A to point B to point C, for me to ask that of you and you think that that's too much, that to me is disgusting. 4 people were murdered. Do your job, do it the right way. There should only be like one way to do something because that's how you're taught. You document. Document. And nowadays, guess what? It's so easy to document because you wear a fucking body cam. Okay, we don't need your memory. You got a body cam on. You can't remember? Turn on. The defense also whispers in a footnote. Listen, look at this. You guys, do you see these words that are being used? They are going at each other. We got people that they've been competing against each other their whole lives in Idaho. They're going to this college, and this person goes to this college, and they get this job, and that person got that job. They are playing a game against each other to see who's better than who. That's what's going on with these lawyers. Are you eating pickles, Anna? No, I wish I was eating pickles. So the defense also whispers in a footnote that defendant may have been prejudiced because the standard operating procedures could have. Yeah, could have. Because we have to wait and see what the answers are when we get to ask this asshole questions about him. Because we didn't even know what the fuck they were. But could have bolstered defendant's arguments that the IGG work violated his Fourth Amendment. Yeah, because guess what that goes into? That's their whole fucking argument with it, when it comes to the Fourth Amendment. Because you can get a lot of things. We're talking about you can know people's. You guys think about back in the day when somebody would go in your house with a search warrant, and then the old school ways that you get violated on the Fourth Amendment, okay? Well, here's the new school way that you can get violated. Because we're just so tech. So advanced. Think about when all this shit created. None of this shit existed, and nobody could ever think that it would have ever existed. So, but such speculating is insufficient to prove prejudice under Brady. The defense's speculation also runs contrary. They're not speculating, you dumbass. It's not part of the law. We're using case law. We're not speculating here. The question is could it have? If something could have. I love that argument right there because that's just ridiculous. And Ann Taylor should be able to eat that up because it's bad. This is bad argument on their asses. So the defense's speculation also runs contrary to all related evidence presented at the hearing. For example, look at who they have to go through. For example, look at it. Dude, she didn't even work on any of the fucking pieces in this goddamn case. She said it herself, I did not do dick in this case. For example, Nolan, a forensic laboratory manager with ISP, testified that medical information fell outside of Othram's scope of work. That's awesome that it fell outside of the scope, but we have no idea if it could be inside the scope with this case because of what they did because we don't have everything. And Sugar Tits here, she's with ISP. Can you pull me up? I want her CV. Let me see her CV.
I don't know anyone named Sugar Tits.
You know that Southern Belle that you played? Nolan.
Wow.
I want to see her CV really quick. Here she is. Idaho State Police. Exactly. Why is she talking about Othram? She's Idaho State Police. She has nothing to do with them. Like I said, I knew it. I was like, let me see that host CV. She's with the Idaho State Police. So she's talking about a forensic laboratory manager with ISP testified that medical information fell outside of the Othrams. Well, you're with Idaho State Police. So I don't give a fuck what you have to say about them. I don't care. you're a moron. You went in there acting like a moron because you kept saying it when you were testifying. Okay. Now she's all Susie, fucking all American, knows everything. Similarly, the defense's own expert, who previously oversaw a lab like Althram and played a role like Althram in law enforcement investigations, testified such labs develop S&P profiles related to genealogy and ancestry rather than medical information. Yeah, normally, that's normal. Furthermore, even if the defense's speculation were correct, even if it was correct, they are throwing their dicks on the table. Okay. Speaking of pickleball, by the way, Scott Peterson, he got laid up playing pickleball today. I love Murky. My type of motherfucking human. Give your man a shout, baby girl. Give your man a shout. So furthermore, let's say even if the defense's speculation were correct, it would not have changed the outcome of the court's decision. And this is where it's interesting to be able to use. Okay, so we're going to cite then see order on defendant's motion to suppress. And so this is why I went back and looked at that. Like I showed you guys earlier, I said you want to pull out the nitty gritty, go get the order for defense motion to suppress. Oh, that's the on one. Hold on. Right here. The IGG. And he's saying to go to page 17. So when you would turn to page 17, 15, 17, and he says, here we go. Furthermore, even if the defense's speculation were correct, it would have not changed the outcome of the court's decision. See order on defendant's motion. Okay. Moreover, even assuming there were sensitive genetic, and this is where he says down here. So, moreover, look at, they're just going straight to the motion, to his order. Moreover, even assuming there were sensitive genetic details revealed by the IGG performed here, the fact that the DNA was obtained from a crime scene and analyzed for purposes of identifying the perpetrator displaces any reasonable expectation of privacy. What are you talking about? That is not even the argument here. That's not even the argument. He most certainly has an expectation of privacy in his if you're going above and beyond to get health information. And that's why the judge was asking that. But it's interesting that they just want to use this portion of it. But they used it. They went back to that. But this is not even the argument, guys. Like, you're on a tangent here, and this is not the argument. The argument is not about that. I'm sorry, that's not what the argument is. The defense has not proven any of the elements necessary to show a Brady violation. But guess what it got you to do? We didn't show Brady. Let's say that you're right. What we just showed, though, is that the IGG is out. Does that make sense? This is a game of chess. So if the defense jumped and went this route to make you produce this type of a document, you just took your IGG out. So now, how are you getting to Brian Kober? That's why I think it's going to be interesting. And the argument to say that, listen, when you want to say that the state can use a generic tip to tell the jury on how they got to Brian Kober, make that make sense. You want them to be able to lie? What's a generic tip? Bottom line is, this is how this works. Nobody is talking about IGG. That means you're going to use the probable cause. The same way that you obtain probable cause, that's what you're going to use.
And that's how I would argue this. I thought about it for days. And I would be adamant. To say that, Your Honor, no IGG. They developed probable cause, okay? So they're going to tell the jury the same way that they told the judge how they got there. Because they kept getting warrants that way. I want to hear the response on it. Don't you as Americans want to hear the response of that? Don't you want to hear the response of, well, just because you can develop probable cause doesn't mean you can develop beyond a reasonable doubt? That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. And that's what should be coming, is that it's one thing to get a search warrant for probable cause because it's so fucking low. But to be able to get a guilty verdict beyond a reasonable doubt, I want to hear this argument. Don't you guys want to hear this argument as somebody that follows the law, like the law? I want to hear this. Gabby says, thank you for your time and personality. Oftentimes I find your shows to be a lesson in critical thinking. I love training my brain to not assume. Aw, thank you so much, Gabby. We love you. Actually, I love Gabby. If you guys go to the comment sections of the videos, I love when you guys go to the comment sections of the videos. That's where I actually go and look at your guys' comments. And as long as they aren't ridiculously, like, I don't know, talking shit about like a human being in some capacity, and they bring some type of, I will always heart your comment. You want to know why? Because I value people's time to, like, you wrote that to formulate your opinion and how you felt. I don't have to agree with it, but I will damn well give people props to say, like, thank you. Like, I want to hear what people have to say. And so Gabby is always in the comment sections of the videos, and I so appreciate that. I also know that people that catch the show on the replay, they use the comment section a lot because obviously they didn't catch the show during the live broadcast, you know? So I love it. And I try to go there as much as I can. The day of, the day after, I try to make sure that I see what you guys write. The state does not object to the requested relief. Well, let's see. That's what I would be saying too. The defense's factual allegations and legal arguments all fall flat. But perhaps the most perplexing portion of the defense's motion is the relief requested in the ultimate concession of the defense only as exclusion of the IGG information, even though the state has consciously said it would not place the jury. This means the state finds itself in the unusual position of strongly agreeing with the rationale of the defense motion, but having no objections to the defense request of relief. Do you guys see that right here? Do you guys see where this is headed? I'll repeat this. So the state does not object to the requested relief. Remember I told you guys they toe tagged them? Like, holy shit, they toe tagged them. The IGG is going to be out. I said the IGG will be out. Look at this. The state does not object to the requested relief. The defense's factual allegations and legal arguments, they all fall flat. But perhaps the most perplexing portion of the defense's motion is the relief requested. And they're saying that this is perplexing to them because this is them trying to, like, this is a mind fuck. This is what you call a mind fuck, and you do not pay attention to it. But they have to do this for the record, for the public record. Someone like me reading this and acting like they truly are cool with it. Do not fall for the mind fuck. Okay? So perhaps the most perplexing portion of the defense's motion is the relief requested in the ultimate concession of that it's immaterial. The defense seeks only the exclusion at trial of the IgG information, even though that's not the only thing they've ever asked for in this whole thing, but that's fine. Let them think that. But the defense seeks only the exclusion at trial of the IgG information, even though the state has consistently stated it does not plan to present IgG information to the jury. Well, guess what that means? That means you're not going to be able to explain, and they know this, but if they just try to say, like, no, we're not going to use the IgG information, you got Brian Kohlberger from IgG. So you're not making up some generic, this is why they put in, we want to be able to use a generic tip. And that's why I'm asking everybody, what are you talking about? I am 5 years before everybody in this case. The state wants to say I'm this generic tip. No, there is no such thing as a generic tip. You're not going to lie on how you got to Brian Kohlberger to the jury. Do you understand? This is nuts. So this is where we need to use our heads here. And I've been thinking about it for days because I knew where this was headed. And so I was thinking about, when I say days, I was like, if the state is going to concede on this, then how is the state going to say they got to Brian Kohlberger? And they would need the judge to bail them out. So here, this means the state finds itself in the unusual position of strongly disagreeing with the rationale for the defense's motion, but having no objection to the defense's requested relief. And you know what? You know why they worded it all like this? Is because let's forget about the Brady. Let's forget about what we truly just try to do here. That's that. Remember I told you they're going to cut them, like, so you're just going to cut off your limbs and your arms. But now you still got to make it across the finish line. And you say that you have this really strong case, but how are you going to get to the finish line without any arms and legs? As the state has explained as far back as the beginning of the litigation over the IgG and as recent as its competing motion in limine filed contemporaneously with the defense's motion, the state does not intend to introduce the IgG information at trial other than to help the jury. See? Other than to help the jury, you're not using it at all. And this is Ann Taylor's argument. Is it, Your Honor? No. If the IgG is out, understand how the investigation progressed. That's not in. That would be out. See how they were trying to say that? Yeah, we agree with them. But then look at this, how they try to slip this in. So I'm like, okay, they want to make it. That's why whoever wrote this was taught something in communications, which is you give somebody a big woo so that they get so happy, but then you slide in the but they don't see it. Okay. This is typical communications. Get somebody high so they don't hear the low when you blow them. The state can do so by referring to the IgG information as a generic tip without revealing the source of the substance of the. No, this is our point. Look at how I love it. I knew this is exactly how they were going to try to do it. This is so great. And this is Ann's argument, is that no, the IgG is out as a whole. You're not even saying and referring to IgG at all. Do you just see how they try to do that? So hopefully my demonstrations walked us all the way through on how the state just tried to literally not pull Anne's hair while fucking her at the same time. And some people like their hair pulled while you're fucking them. All right. And this is how, remember I said, how are you going to create this generic tip? What are you going to do? Just tell them that you stumbled across like somebody in the 45,000 tips? No, this is how they're going to do it. Right here. The state can do so by referring to the IgG information as a generic tip. How? Without revealing the source or the substance of the tip. And right there, if I am them, when I go to this hearing, I straight up say, I was born at night, okay? But I wasn't born last night. This is a complete, like, literally, like, you are trying to slap me in the face with stupidity by you thinking that you can write the paragraph that you just wrote and then write this. But guess what? Mainstream media, they'll just be, this is what mainstream media will read. They'll read this and try to make up some like, oh my God, this is how stupid the defense is. Like, and they use this wording. This is what you'd see. Okay. But really the state is like, no, we plan to use the IgG. We have no problem with it being suppressed, but here we want to use it. Get the fuck up out of here. Mic drop. Basically, that's their entire case that is correct. The only way they got to Brian Kober is from the IgG. And this is Anne's way of saying, remember when you said that they create all this probable cause, Judge Hippler, and they would have got to him regardless? So take your IgG, Judge Hippler, because we're going to use your order against you. And guess what? It is out. 150% out. And Ann Taylor just toe tagged the game. You done. Checkmate, like I said. Peace. Ann Taylor, that's how you do it. Checkmate. Boom. See you guys on the flip side.